At this point, we'll now proceed to strand 6 of focusing on teaching and learning, which is learning environment. So we're done with strand 5 last um, session, which was about learning assessment. Now let us proceed to learning environment. And if we will still have time later on, we'll proceed to strand 7, uh, which is about guidance and counseling. So to start with, let us have first the different career stages under this strand, strand 3.6, learning environment. Under this strand, under the career stage 1, the school head is or those who want to become school head is expected or are expected to demonstrate understanding of managing a learner-friendly, inclusive, and healthy learning environment. Under career stage 2, the school head is expected to manage a learner-friendly, inclusive, and healthy learning environment. For career stage 3, the school head is expected to engage the wider school community in maintaining a learner-friendly, inclusive, and healthy learning environment. And for the highest career stage, the school head is expected to empower the wider school community in promoting and sustaining a learner-friendly, inclusive, and healthy learning environment. So learners in supportive environments have high levels of self-efficacy and self-motivation and use learning as a primary transformative force. This according to www.iba.unesco.org. So even in our DepEd vision, mission, and core values, uh, supportive environment is is given primary concern in our DepEd mission, vision, and core values, particularly in the mission that yung ang binibigyan talaga ng importansya ang supportive environment para magkaroon ng effective learning ang mga learners sa mga school sa Department of Education. So learning environment according to educationglossary.org or edglossary.org refers to the diverse physical locations, contexts, and cultures in which students learn. So the term also encompasses the culture of a school or class, its presiding ethos and characteristics, including how individuals interact with and threat one another, as well as the ways in which teachers may organize an educational setting to facilitate learning. So when we say learning environment, it does not mean only the physical structure of the classroom, does not refer only to the campus, the physical structure of the school buildings, and things that we see around the school and the school campus and the classroom. Learning environments also include the culture, also the climate of the particular school, the characteristics, the ethos, the values of each individual who are part of the school, and particularly all the stakeholders. So in the point of view of the learner, isa sa learning environment, of course, is yung teacher and all the school personnel in the school. So pati na yung mga learning materials, ang lahat nakapaligid sa kanya ang kanyang mga kaklase, kung anong klaseng merong mga estudyante meron sa isang paaralan, kung ano ang uri ng pamamahala ng isang school head form part of all of these form part of the learning environment. So kung magagaling ang mga guro at as well as magaling ang school head at napakaganda ng physical structures at appearance ng school at friendly ang lahat ng nandoon, so it means na ang learning environment is very positive at saka motivating. So walang nangyayaring bullying at saka pag-aaway-away ng mga school personnel. So we can say that the learning environment and the atmosphere is positive. Research has shown that an engaged learning environment increases students' attention and focus, promotes meaningful learning environments, encourages higher levels of student performance, and motivates students to practice higher level thinking, higher level critical thinking skills. So since part ng learning environment ang mga teachers as well as the school head, so tama po si Professor Clarita Carlos na sabi niya na kailangan para magkaroon tayo ng effective learning ay kailangan yung magagaling na mga guro, matatalino na mga guro. At of course, kasama din yan yung mga magagaling at matatalino na mga school heads. Kaya nga sa inquiz talaga mini-measure kung how intelligent, how prepared, and how knowledgeable the school heads, those who want to become school heads, so that when they pass the inquiz, I believe that the Department of Education is quite sure that yung mabinibigyan ng items ng pagiging principal ay mga magagaling at mga knowledgeable about how to effectively manage and lead the school. So I agree with Professor Carlos na kailangan talaga na magkaroon tayo ng mga trained, well-trained at saka high caliber teachers para magkaroon ng effective learning. So of course, kasama po ng mga high caliber teachers and school head ay yung mga other components of learning environments like the equipments and facilities. Malaki rin ang naitutulong sa effective learning ang pagkaroon ng kumpletong facilities. Kasi isa sa hindering factors kasi kung bakit na hindi masyado or hindi 100% na ita-transfer ng magaling na guro ang kanyang knowledge sa skills at kaalaman sa mga learners ay ang kakulangan sa mga learning materials and equipment. Lalo na yung mga laboratory like science laboratory and TVL or laboratory, speech lab, sa language. So magkaagapay po ito. They are equally important. Pero ang pinaka-importante talaga ay magkaroon tayo ng mga well-trained at saka highly knowledgeable teachers because they are part of the learning environment. So on the point of view of the teacher naman, ito ang mga learning environment. So siyempre kasama sa learning environment naman kung si guro ang ang kukunin natin na point of view or point of reference ay kasama diyan ay yung mga learners naman ang magiging environment niya. Kasama yung learner characteristics, content and pedagogy, skills, learning support, resources, assessment. And of course, all these form part the school culture. So this learning environment from a teacher's perspective. Let's focus on learner characteristics. So ano yung mga characteristics ng learner? Learner goals, prior knowledge, digital natives, diversity, and learning contents. So learning goals, of course kasama diyan yung motivation of the learner. So binagyan din ng diin ni Professor Carlos, 'di ba, sa FB na mga post na importante din yung motivation ng learners because they intertwined with they interact with each other. Hindi lang one way. Hindi lang magaling siguro tapos si learner ay hindi motivated. Hindi talaga matatransfer ng maayos yung knowledge ni guro o karon ng effective teaching and learning if the learners are not really motivated to learn. In terms of content, ano yung part ng content? Of course, yung content goals, sources, structure, quantity, depth, and activities. For skills, thinking activities, discussion, skills goals, practical activities. For learner support, counseling, scaffolding, feedback, and other students. For resources naman, yung timely teacher, kung may assistance ba siya, facilities, and technology. And assessment, so projects, e-portfolio. So these are the types of assessment that teacher can give to the learners. So this is again the learning environment from a teacher's perspective. So if we will get also the perspective of the learner, so syempre kasama sa learning environment, once again, I will repeat that it would be kasama din si teacher. So let's come to this material written by Ali Goni and Selda Al. They are Faculty of Agriculture, Department of Urbanism, Delft University of Technology, the Netherlands. The research about effective learning environments in relation to different learning theories. Yung mga structure pala sa ating eskwelahan, mga paaralan, even the arrangement of tables and chairs inside the classroom and the corridors, arrangement in the corridors, the orientation of the buildings, kinds of buildings that we have, the positions of the buildings are theory-based pala yun. Hindi basta-basta pala tayo naglalagay ng kung ano-ano sa ating mga schools na hindi naka-anchor sa isang theory. So let's have the behaviorist learning theory in reference against to learning environments. So ano ba yung mga learning environments na nasa ating school na naka-anchor doon sa behaviorist learning theory? But before that, let's review about behaviorist learning theory. So behaviorist learning theory, behaviorism concerns the observable change in behavior. Yung to see is to believe. Behaviorists believe that learning is provided by a change in actions through an explorative process. It exposes individuals to external stimuli until a desired response is received. In these schools, knowledge is transferred by the teacher while the learner is a passive participant. Nevertheless, this knowledge is viewed as objective, factual, and absolute. According to this theory, knowledge can be viewed as a scheme that is symbolic mental constructions that are reorganized or processed in the mind. Thus, school design should create a sphere which stimulates curiosity for exploration. Behaviorist schools are typically framed in a single buildings with several stories. Classrooms are located at one end for new learners and moved to the other end for upper grade level. Ang atin palang pag-assign ng mga rooms for grade level, halimbawa, ang unang room ay for grade 1, sunod naman ang katabi ay grade 2, katabi niyan grade 3, katabi niyan grade 4, ay base pala ito sa behaviorist theory. Classrooms are laid out in rows and columns and provided minimal room for flexibility. So, yung arrangement natin sa classroom na rows and columns ay behaviorist, anchored yun sa behaviorist theory. The teacher's desk is the main point of focus and is a control point. Oh, 'di ba ang teacher's desk, yung demonstration table ay nasa sentro o nasa gitna at saka nasa harapan. So that is behaviorist, anchor on behaviorism. Long corridor with two-side classroom is suitable for behaviorist schools. This kind of arrangement provides desired responses of the teacher-centered education. So yung behaviorism is teacher-centered education. But part of the learning environment that we have still at present, the Department of Education is still anchored on behaviorism. Kahit na we are claiming that our education system is learner-centered. May bahid pa rin ng teacher-centered ang ating mga structure at arrangement sa classroom. Okay? So ito po ang sa behaviorism, classroom arrangement. Tingnan niyo, 'di ba? Katulad din 'yan ng arrangement natin sa mga classrooms natin, 'di ba? So effective physical environments for behaviorist learning theory. Remember that behaviorism is teacher-centered. Diba? Nasa gitna si teacher. Nandoon sa front at nasa gitna, nagsasalita at nag-ano ng leksyon. So even though we're claiming to be learner-centered, there is still part of our culture and activities and arrangement in the school and the classroom in particular are anchored on behaviorism. Now let's come to cognitivist learning theory. According to this theory, children need to explore, manipulate, experiment, question, and to search for answers by themselves. So isa ito sa mga theory ng K-12, di ba? Thus, school design should create a sphere which stimulates curiosity for exploration. Schools follow this theory are typically laid out like campuses and open frame. They are usually single or two-story buildings connected by various walkways. Di ba? Sa ating iba-iba ng mga buildings tapos may mga walkways. So that is cognitivism. Yung behaviorism naman, iisang building lang siya. Isang building pero many story. Sa cognitivist learning theory naman, ang mga buildings ay can be single or two-story pero magkakalayo, iba-ibang mga buildings and they are connected by various walkways. So ito usually ang arrangement natin sa ating school, ng ating mga school buildings, which provided opportunities for the students to interact with the outdoors supporting ang explorative approach. So may mga tanim-tanim pa dyan, di ba? May garden, merong inside mat garden, merong makabayan garden, o kung ano-ano pa ng mga struktura sa loob ng paaralan. So that is because of all these things are anchored on cognitivist learning theory. Ito na po ang effective physical environments for cognitivist learning theory. So may corridor siya, yung mga building layo pero connected with corridors, tapos may mga mayroong schoolyard. So, 'di ba sa atin may playground kung saan nakapaglaro ang mga learners. At iba pa nga may mga structure kung saan parang children's park ang dating. So that is for cognitivist learning theory. Now let's come to constructivist learning theory, which is the mother theory of the K-12 curriculum of the Department of Education. So constructivism assumes that learning is a process of constructing knowledge rather than acquiring it. It takes the learner's social, cultural, and contextual conditions into consideration and theorizes that the learner construct knowledge through experience. So ang term talaga na mostly connected to constructivism is construct knowledge. Yung learners ay nagko-construct, bumubuo ng knowledge, ng sarili niyang knowledge sa kanyang isipan sa mga base sa kanyang mga na-experience. In other words, learners interpret new information through their contextual experiences and build on their existing knowledge from the conclusions reached during the assimilation of new knowledge and reflections on it. We have already discussed this matter, diba, doon sa ating previous sessions. In suitable school environment for the constructivist theory, corridors can be designed as a learning space and place for a social interaction instead of long corridors which serves only for circulation. O syempre, dahil wala corridors, pwedeng gawing learning space. Diba doon sa mga corridors, merong mga kapag dumadaan ang mga learners, mayroong mga educational materials, mga tarpaulins, mga bulletin boards, 'di ba? Kung minsan ginagamit din ito na activity area ng mga teachers lalo na kapag kulang sa classroom. So doon sa behaviorism, ang gamit lang po ng corridor ay daanan lamang. Pero sa constructivism, ang corridor ay hindi lamang daanan kundi ginagamit din ito as learning space and place for social interaction. Then and classrooms can be designed as articulated spaces where children can study by themselves or within a group because students sometimes need places to be alone for intrapersonal intelligence and sometimes for active social interaction for interpersonal intelligence. Kaya kung minsan si teacher ay rini-rearrange ang mga upuan at saka mga desks para po sa group activity. Kung minsan, inilalagay ang mga upuan, mga desk sa side, sa mga gilid ng classroom at open yung classroom, yung center ng classroom at meron silang mga activity, group activity na ginagawa. Tapos, after that, binabalik naman sa dati kung saan nasa column at saka rows ang arrangement ng mga learners para po sa interpersonal intelligence. So ito po ang effective physical environments in Montessori School which is anchored on constructivism. So may mga spaces para sa mga estudyante na gustong mapag-isa at mag-aral na mag-isa. May mga spaces naman or mga parts ng school na pwedeng maggrupo-grupo ang mga learners para sa social interaction or group activity. Now let's come to experiential learning theory. Experiential learning theory is a holistic perspective on learning that combines experiences, perception, cognition, and behavior. The theory emphasizes that the central role of experience in the learning process. It is a continuous process grounded in experience. The experiential learning classroom, ano naman ang characteristics ng experiential learning classroom environment as described by Kolb? May provide an opportunity for consciously reflecting on the thoughts, emotions, and behavioral actions and transforming them. Accordingly, corridors, canteen, outdoor places, etc. Can be designed for group learning to provide social learning and stimulate the social brain. Turning break spaces into social area for conversation, classroom design may have flexible properties and allow for multiple choices and instruction of learning. Experiential learning can take place inside the classrooms and outdoors. Thus, designers should relate the in and outdoor learning. Kaya nga iba-iba po yung mga facilities natin. Meron yung mga sports facilities at saka meron ding mga different gardens at na sa lab of course. So these are according or anchored on experiential learning theory also. So this is the structure, example structure of school environment based on experiential learning theory. Links between the in and outdoor learning spaces. So merong outdoor learning spaces at saka indoor learning spaces. Another theory is the humanistic learning theory. Humanists have priority for human needs and interests. They also believe that it is necessary to study the person as a whole, especially as an individual grows and develops over the lifespan. So, ang proponent naman ito ay si Abraham Maslow, who is a humanistic theorist and explained that every person is born with a set of basic needs as biological and physiological safety, belongingness or love, self-esteem, and self-actualization needs. I believe that when lower needs are fulfilled, the higher level needs are emerged. Tama po ito. Schools following this theory should provide these needs of pupils. Environment firstly should provide the biological and physiological needs like clean air, comfort, temperature, and good lighting. So yung sinasabi natin na conducive, ang ating description ng conducive classroom which has conducive learning atmosphere ay nakabase po yan uh, sa humanistic learning theory. Besides, it should be safe enough for pupils to feel emotionally secured. So yung ating mga child protection policy ay para anti-bullying campaign, yung yung mga violence against women and children campaign at mga guidance and counseling activities para maging emotionally secured ang ating mga learners ay anchored po yan sa humanistic learning theory. Child can feel belonging to his class school if he or she is allowed to personalize his or her environment. That's why classroom can allow maximum amount of independence to realize this. Further, pupils can work on different issues in different groups, at the same time observe what others doing, learn from one another, and make interpersonal relationship. So yung collaborative, magkaroon ng project na group project to develop collaborative values, cooperation and collaboration among learners, that's anchored pala sa humanistic learning theory. So self-esteem, the highest level according to Abraham Maslow, self-esteem requires school environment to be equal for all students so that the child believes that every student has the same rights sa school. Kaya mga tayo merong tinatawag na inclusive education. Meron tayong CFSS, Child Friendly School System. And if he understands that nobody is surpassed by another and every student is equal, he feels being respected by others. For self-actualization, school environment must offer choices of spaces which can reveal students' potential and help pupils to do what they aimed. Halimbawa, gusto ni learner ay maging magaling sa volleyball, dapat magkaroon tayo ng volleyball court. Ang mga learners naman na mayroong magiging masaya at nagiging fulfilled, self-fulfilled sa kapag nakaka-shoot sila ng bola, lalo na 3 points sa basketball, ay so dapat magkaroon tayo ng basketball court. Dapat yung mga magagaling sa ibang sports ay dapat they should be provided with similar equipment and yung mga gamit. Saka yung halimbawa, yung magaling kumanta sa musical naman ng mga students, so dapat meron tayong choir, school choir. Tapos meron namang yung mga grupo ng magagaling sumayaw, dance company. So that's why we have different organizations and glee clubs in the school. That's because all of these things that we're doing are anchored pala sa humanistic learning theory. These are this part of learning environment. So let's come to social situational learning theory. Social situational theorists emphasize that learning takes place in social relationships. Social learning theory posits that people learn from observing other people. Correct. By definition, such observations take place in a social setting. According to Bandora, most human behavior is learned observationally through modeling. By observing other ones, they conceive idea about how new behaviors are performed, and eventually, this coded information serves as a guide for action. This theory interprets learning process as an interaction observation in social context. So, di ba, meron tayong kasabihan kung ano ang nakikita ng mga bata sa mga nakakatanda o nakatatanda, maliman o tama ay puro tama sa mata ng learners. So, paano natututo manigarilyo ang isang bata, 'di ba? Sa pag nakikita niyang naninigarilyo ang kanyang mga magulang at mga nakakatandang kapatid. Paano natututong magmura ang isang bata na 5 years old pa lang? Hindi ba dahil sa pagmumura ng mga nakatatanda sa kanya o nakakatanda sa kanya? So this is according to social situational learning theory. So kung ano ang nakikita ng mga learners ay kanilang kinukopya. Kaya yung mga dapat talaga yung nasa kinder at saka K to 3 ng mga teachers ay magagaling, lalo na sa reading, sa pronunciation, sa pagbabasa. Kasi modeling kasi, explicit teaching at saka modeling ang pinaka-angkop na teaching strategy sa K to 3 is according to social learning, situational learning theory through modeling. So ito po ang spaces for social learning and interpersonal relationships. So meron siyang part na pwedeng mag-usap ang dalawang bata, meron namang in group, meron mga gustong mag-isa lamang, at saka may mga spaces in between din. So those are the different learning theories kung saan naka-anchor pala ang ating mga structure at saka yung mga physical environment arrangement natin sa school. So next time na magre-arrange tayo ng ating mga na magre-design tayo, restructure tayo ng ating school at saka ng redesign ng mga classrooms, dapat pala nasa isip natin ay yung iba't ibang mga learning theory. Ito, anong theory? Halimbawa, tatayo ka ng isang structure sa school, dapat theory-based pala. Hindi lang basta-basta maglalagay pala tayo ng kung ano-ano sa school na hindi naka-anchor sa theory. Now, let's come to 10 characteristics of a highly effective learning environment according to teachthought.com. So, number one characteristics of a highly effective learning environment, the student asked more questions than the teachers. Kung si teacher pala ang nagtanong ng tanong, Hindi pala yung highly effective. Tingnan natin, it's according to teachthought.com. Number one characteristic is that student asked more questions than the teachers. Number two, questions are valued over answers. So, mas pinahalagahan ang pagtatanong, ang mga tanong kaysa sagot. So by the teachers, of course, that means that the teacher should encourage more questions from the learner because when the learners ask questions, they learn more. Natututo sila ng marami pa kapag nagtatanong. Kaya yung mga bata natin, mga anak natin na tanong ng tanong, wag nating barahin. Sagot lang tayo ng sagot. Yes. Kung minsan nasagot na natin ang kanyang tanong, may follow-up na bakit? Sagot na natin ang kanyang tanong, may follow-up pa rin na bakit hanggang sa tayo ay nagagalit na. Number 3 is ideas come from divergent sources. Ideas come from divergent sources. That means that kapag sinagot ni teacher ang mga tanong, uh, dapat well-versed siya, dapat marami siyang sources na alam para sagutin ang tanong. Halimbawa, ang tanong or pag nag-i-impart naman ng mga ideas or mga content si teacher ay dapat it's not only coming from one source but from different sources. Just like what I am doing here in our review, I am not only contented in every session, mga slides, ang mga inputs ay nanggaling sa iba't ibang mga sources. So ito na characteristic of a highly effective learning environment. Sa ibang source naman ito. Ang unang part sa ibang source, yung about sa mga learning theories related to physical structure, physical environment, or school environment, ibang source din yon. So number 4, a variety of learning models are used. Teaching strategy po ito. So of course, hindi lang palaging chalk and talk si teacher. So dapat gumamit din ng iba't ibang activities at saka pedagogy. Number 5, classroom learning empties into a connected community. Classroom learning meaning dapat i-connect natin sa real life situation ang mga natutunan at ini-impart natin sa classroom. Kung paano ito i-apply ng mga learners doon sa actual nila na pamumuhay, lalo na sa kanilang community. Number 6, characteristics of a highly effective learning environment is that learning is personalized by a variety of criteria. Kasi learning, dito na po pumapasok ang contextualization. And then number 7, assessment is persistent, authentic, transparent, and never punitive. Ay, never punitive. Parang hindi negative, hindi parang punishment sa mga bata at hindi kakadismaya. Ang dapat ini-enjoy ng mga learners ang assessment. Hindi na parang problemado pakarinig pa lang ng assessment ay namumroblema na ang learners. It's not like that. So it should be authentic. So based on the real life situation, context of the learners, transparent, alam ng learners kung ano ang ina-assess sa kanya and how are the learners are graded and rated on that assessment. So number 8, the criteria for success is diverse, transparent, and co-created with students and families. I believe that we already discussed this matter about assessment, diba? Then number 9, learning habits are constantly modeled. Learning habits are constantly modeled. Who are the model? Of course, the teachers. And of course, all the people, diba, it takes a village to learn to educate a child. It's not only the responsibility of the teachers and the school heads to educate and to educate the child. It's all the people that surround them. And number 10, there are constant and creative opportunities for practice and growth. Again, there are constant and effective and highly learning environment. There are constant and creative opportunities for practice and growth. So this is about K to 12 pedagogy, di ba? Different learning teaching strategies ang ginagawa, iba-ibang assessment strategy at activities. Pumapasok din dito ang differentiated instruction in which ang titingnan natin lahat ng naman
Mati. Mati. Naturong ka lang.
okay, if we will go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10, all of these things are part of the K to 12 basic education curriculum that we are implementing here in the Philippines. So that means we have highly effective learning environment in every schools, in every school, deputy school, and even private schools in the Philippines. Lalo na yung napakaganda ng you know what, napakaganda ng mga ng physical appearance ng mga schools natin dito sa Department of Education sa Pilipinas, including lalo na yung mga classrooms, lalo na sa elementary. Naku, hanga talaga ako sa structuring ng mga classroom sa elementary. Napakagaling ng mga teachers. Yung mga nakikita ko na mga classroom sa elementary, well structured, saka conducive to learning. So that means that napaka conducive to learning po talaga ang mga classrooms natin generally sa Department of Education, which includes also the high school, junior high school, and senior high school. Okay, before we proceed to